Can you hear me? Okay. You gotta get energy. Okay, so welcome everybody. I hope you did have a good lunch, not too much wine from this beautiful country of Moldova. I actually have four vines from Moldova in my place in Germany. My wife is Moldovan, and I said, I want to bring some of this wine back to Germany, and customs didn't take them away, so that was a good thing. But we're here to talk about innovation, and some of the best practices that bring the innovation. It's something that, innovation has been going on for hundreds of years. It's nothing new. But a lot of people see that technology, AI, so it's all of a sudden, hey, something great that's going to happen. Moldova has this ability, I think, somehow to leapfrog a lot of the other problems that, industrial countries have had for a long time. And they're trying to leverage that with technology, digitalization. But innovation isn't just technology. We have people on the panel that talk from manufacturing, from agriculture, from banking sector, from a startup inside Turkey, right? I've been in the ecosystem of innovation for many years. A lot of it was with Dubai. And if you know Dubai, it's pretty well known. It's one of the leading technology countries in the world right now, mainly because they spend a lot of money, but they bring people. They bring the knowledge, the capital that is required for innovation back into it. Now, when I was there, it was about 2003. We had nothing really. There wasn't there. And they go back now, 30 years later or 22 years later, it's a mega house of AI. There's, I think last I looked, they had over 24 unicorns already built inside just UAE. Right? Do we have that many unicorns in Moldova? We have 23 unicorns? Oh, you will have, and we can, because value in whatever we call unicorns is really about getting people connected to some kind of value and putting it into place. But it doesn't just happen magically, right? So within our panel, we're going to be having these discussions, and you're going to hear from people who have actually been doing it, how to go forward and go into a good place, right? So again, good afternoon. Don't fall asleep, and prepare your questions now, because I will ask you. You're here for a reason. You have a question in your mind, so be free to ask it when we get there. Okay. So the first question we really want to talk about, how do we go from talking about innovation, just, hey, I need to do it, it's on the board of directors, we need to innovate, to actually implementing it, right? And it's not always hard. You're not an extern saying, let's innovate. Say, we have our processes, we have the way we need to do it. So from your all's experience, let's go through and just ask that, how do we move, what barriers need to be overcome? And how, from your experience, have those barriers been overcome? And let's just go in order. Ilona?
Hello. Oh, okay. Hello. My name is Alona. I'm from Maib, and very happy to be here today. Regarding your question about barriers, probably if to structure them very, very quickly, first of all, could be the culture of organization when we want to implement innovation and to bring them, because culture could be the first step which does not allow to evolve. The second one could be acceptance, how fast people accelerate and like this innovation to happen. And probably the last one could be the balance between speed and security you want to bring in the market. Probably these three I would phrase them as being the most important barriers at some point.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
Well, I could just add, or probably just rephrase that mindset, because yeah, culture and mindset is quite similar, but still, mindset could be a barrier in a company, in a person, and actually really openness for something new, and of course, it's also connected with lifelong learning. Because it's also a barrier, because people who think that they know everything already and they achieve everything, so forget about innovation, no way.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I represent Mega Promoting, and we have launched 2 startups this year. And I will speak like from the perspective of what's happening inside of AI startup, like AI-focused startup. So what barriers we overcome is that, first of all, we gave our team autonomy, and we gave them trust to like to learn some lessons. We let them how to say to agreshi to fail, yes. So they're not punished for every single small thing that they didn't succeed. We give them empathy, and we help them to grow. So we are not like leaders who are watching and are like discipline them. But we are with them for sure. Like me and my co-founder, we spend about 30 or 1 hour every day with each member, because we're a small team, just 9 people, and the leadership is like we two and the rest of team members. Yeah, we give them trust, so they can innovate and they can think. They don't having these barriers to stop them innovate.
Very good.
Well, thank you very much. Again, me, Ömer Antal. Well, actually, your question took me to 2007, because it was my master thesis that I wrote about innovation management and how to share with SMEs and corporates. And in 2007, when I said innovation for a master thesis, they were like, why? What is innovation?
Exactly.
Unfortunately, in Turkish, it's a wrong translation. They translated innovation something like a new thingy or something, but then innovation has a must in his definition for a commercialization in the end. So most of the organizations, they don't have the innovation problem, they have the repeatability problem. And they trust a lot the people or the fancy KPIs, we can say. But those KPIs change when these people change. They lost this power and they lost this repeatability. It has to be inside of the culture, and it's really hard thing, honestly. Most of the companies who are putting innovation in their values and stuff, actually they don't do innovation. This is just a PR. It's like maybe tourism, we can say. But as Spark Labs, we are trying to use like a special framework in order to define industrial challenges clearly for us and for our customers as well. Then test the solution in real production, and then scale jointly but not separately. It has to be inside of their system, inside of our company, also in the system of the client as well. This process, this process became repeatable, not dependent to the people, let's say, then innovation is no longer a project, but it becomes a part of the organization.
And I think that's one of the really keys that you see is, the culture has to support the intent of the organization. Why do they want to innovate in the first place? Or is it just a keyword, which a lot of people think it's just a keyword? And you might hear this going out in industry, systems, right? You have to have systems. If you don't have a systems, unfortunately, I come from the US military, and I learned very young age, around 24, people can get shot, but your process still has to follow. So I learned it's all about systems, it's all about people, and it's all about the culture that you have to be. And A lot of startups that I try to incubate, they come up with their own mindset. It's technology, innovation, creative. You're going to buy it. They forget you're not doing the innovation. The organization, and what you hear here is the culture and systems and overcoming that, those barriers. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so let's move over to a slightly different. When we're talking about the governance, right? We say that we need systems, and we have leaders, and leaders have their own mindset of how they want the company to go. They have their annual budgets, they have their annual things, and you come up and say, hey, I have a great idea. How does that process of an idea get into the organization, into the long-term strategy, and actually then get adopted, or, how do you, don't even know how to say it, that somebody buys into the idea and champion, the champion. How do you get the champion inside that organization, right? For any industry, really. It's not just the external. So, when we have an idea, how do you incubate that idea into the fabric of the business itself? Any ideas? Go ahead. Just jump in. I don't always want to go into a row.
Maybe I will try. First of all, I want to echo my colleagues on something, and it's important probably to come back. You are pretty right that any innovation do not become scalable until it's not longer just a job of some very enthusiastic people. Yes. But it's in fact a system, and it's in leadership behavior. So let's start from that point. What means for us a system at MAIB? It means that we have empowered teams which have a culture of permanent experimentation and exist an embedded governance in that. Leaders have a very, very strong role in that, because we as leaders, what we need to do? We need to create clarity, to eliminate barriers, and of course to ensure that learnings are celebrated, even through mistakes, as our colleague just said. And how leaders behave, what they measure, and what they repeat become culture. When culture already has in itself embedded innovation, then it's easy, because innovation it's placed by itself in front. Nobody have to push it. Now comes the next idea, that in order for innovation to be accepted inside the company, it should not be done for the sake of innovation. Nobody in MAIB will start something just thinking, let me innovate something. There are some principles. And even Georgi in the morning talked about that, and I want to emphasize how in MAIB an innovation becomes something based on something real and really necessary. First of all, we start with purpose. Not with tool, but with purpose. And the purpose is quite evident in our strategy, customer first, so customer-centric innovation. When you start with a purpose, you definitely know that you are not just automating some processes or using AI to invent something. And I will give an example. We have here in the room my colleagues. 3 weeks ago, we launched our chatbot, AMI. It answers to the general questions about products and services. But it was not an innovation just because we wanted to make automatic some answers. We want to free up some time of our colleagues in order to concentrate on empathy, in order to concentrate on things which really matters. So for us, first of all, is to make this innovation meaningful, that people understand the purpose behind it, so it's customer-centric. The second one, probably very important, is to empower people, to give them insight and empower them to take right decision. And here is also important. For example, in MAIB, we have next best offer. What does this mean? This is a model, just a mathematical model, which predicts which product or which service complies with the lifestyle of our customers. But without empathy behind, without understanding why this data are important, these are just innovation, nothing else. So the second one, I would put here is empowering. And the last one, which I also want to emphasize, is trust and governance. Because we bankers are responsible for trust. We are like keepers of trust. We can't afford ourselves to lose trust. And when we innovate, we should understand that all our innovation should have in mind customer, should be done by empowered people, but should be governed very securely for our customers. So hopefully I answered to your questions, but this was the general ideas I wanted to emphasize for our teams.
Very excellent, because governance, I do a lot of highly regulated in manufacturing and anywhere. Healthcare, when you try to innovate, you can have the best idea, but if you're not allowing that innovation to follow their GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, they're not going to accept anything. That's their mindset already. So do that.
Yeah, well, fully agree with previous speaker, but I also would like to say that you know it's really kind of shaky balance between such a fancy KPI, how many innovations we would like this year, or some fashion, or we really would like to be innovative, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and between really this purpose, or let's say it, value and impact, you know, because if there is just, you know, just for fancy KPI, or I don't know, but just to do it and to have it like a tick, it's not really needed, and in this case, it's no sense. It has no sense. So we definitely, yeah, exactly. So we definitely need to always to have in mind that it should be kind of value and impact out of this innovation. And if we are talking about the system, I also would like to mention that there is also quite actually good standard, ISO standard, 56,000, which is, yeah, pretty well benchmarking, you know, about all this, you know, all these opinions and yeah, theories about innovation. So which I would also address.
And just to follow up on this, you know, a lot of people, these ISO standards are across Europe, right? They're international. They give you a lot of guidance. They break down things to be very simple. Plan it, do it, check it, and act, you know, so it's a cycle. It's a mindset that they have for a lot of things. You can go and buy it. So I buy it out of a Moldova account, $25. You need to know these. At least read through them before you go to a client and say, hey, I have a big healthcare solution. There's about 4 for healthcare. There's a couple for banking, but just understand that gives it. The other thing I used to do, and people get amazed, I would go to the annual report of a company I'm going to go talk to, so I understand what they're doing. And I would know more about that company than the managing directors I talk to. My cost, 25 minutes. I download it, I look at it, and I know where they're going to be wanting to listen to me. So, very good. Lilia.
Yeah. So, as a startup, we are now in the period of trying to make all the processes more structured, more not so chaotic, and from this chaos, we also want to keep innovation and keep our team on the point that they feel and have trust between each other and have trust also in us. And I think this is a good point when you want to innovate, that team members feel safe, feel heard in the team, and they feel that they are heard. And what we try now to systemize, let's say, our processes and innovate is we try to read, we use Notion to make some repeatable tasks, more like not given in verbal way as we did before. So whenever a new member comes, there's a Notion page for onboarding, and there is like a file with passwords or a list of some things, who you should ask in case of something. And they have the right to decide in many cases, and when they don't know, they say, okay, in this case I will ask CTO, or I will ask Lily, or I will ask somebody else. So we are still figuring out how to do that, yeah, I'm here to learn from you also, yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Omar? You're running a labs, right? So you see a bunch of different perspectives.
Actually, I will be honest, I forgot the question. No, the thing is like, I want to come back to what you said about annual reports thingy, because something pop up in my mind. So you download the annual report, you read it, what they do and stuff, you spend 25, 30 minutes just to understand the company. Now, the majority of the people, they are downloading it. They don't even download. They give the link to ChatGPT or the other AI's agents, say that make me the summary. And then AI agent make a summary actually without knowing what you are really looking for inside of the report. So you read this summary for like 5 minutes, so you gain 20 minutes. But for what? What do you do in these 20 minutes that you gain thanks to AI or the other apps that you use? This is a quite critical thing that I think we have to discuss. Are you spending it for your health? Are you spending it for your self-development? Or you are just spending more time to spend on the Instagram? So this is the thing. Unfortunately, the majority of the societies, not only in Moldova or in Turkey, but most of the countries, they are doing the third option. When we come to your question, from the ones that I remember, the thing is like, we are doing a lot with the innovation thing, but you have to encourage people to make the innovation. And when they propose something, you have to still not saying, this is just what you found, or what you propose, because you can have an innovation in the product, you can have an innovation in the process, you can have an innovation in services, and you can have innovation even in marketing. Yeah. But then this is the thing. And for example, in our company, if somebody is applying for an IP right, on behalf of the company, for a new idea on the injection molding or something, we are giving a small amount of money, because it's still small, but just to encourage them to do it. But money is not the main motivator for the people. They have to look more. And sometimes most of the corporates are lacking even a small thank you to the people who are proposing an innovation of what they do. One of the questions that we had a lot in the environment said that, but we are doing this business like this in the last 10 years or 20 years. Why do we need something new? And then when they crash to the wall because of the economical issues and stuff, they're coming to us like, we need innovation. Sorry, I mean, I cannot create an innovation to save you today. You have to get into your culture and stuff. Even in the companies like ours, we were having this kind of questions. Why we are working with that startup for this project? I mean, if we will make something with that startup, in 2 years, this startup will exist, so from whom we will get the maintenance and support? And my question is like, how do you do now? You don't do it like this, so that you don't need the maintenance. So maybe you will need to build your maintenance afterwards, or maybe together with that startup, you will innovate a new business model and stuff together. And then we invest, both of us will win, and then sorry if you're the big corporates who are not working with the startup stuff.
I want a little bit to add. Thank you, Omer, for bringing that. And from already practical experience, I really want to emphasize that this freedom of people is quite important. In my area of responsibility, without responsible and controlled freedom, probably innovation would not happen, because there is no one person the smartest in the room. There are a lot of persons generating ideas and speaking with the customers in order to understand what is really necessary in the market. And I really encourage those who want innovation in their companies to leave their teams free, to take decisions, to make errors. Yes, it happens. They make mistakes. Just open the platform to talk to them and to give them possibility to learn from customers as much as possible, because these insights are quite impressive. But freedom, I fully agree with you, is one of the most powerful tool now we have to bring innovation inside the companies and for customer experience, of course.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Neela. I see both. Go ahead.
I want to chat about also freedom. So we started our second startup this year in the end of June. And in August, we already had the full, and it was a complicated one. And it was just 1.5 tech, like one guy principal, like responsible for that, and one backender who helped him like some more complicated things. And we shipped in 2.5 months product already with clients. And now like this project is run by one person, and sometimes we even don't talk to them like for days, because like we see every day something is changing there, because it's new and we are prototyping, like every day almost is changing something. And he even, I can say his name, Marius, he even like on the day he can make 2-3 some different apps, because he needed for something like maybe internally or maybe other things. So it's really crazy if you give the freedom to people, but also control so they don't get too creative. This happens also, and then you just realize that you need to do something urgently, but they just did what they wanted to. But freedom is, yeah, so it really works.
Very good. Omar, you had a comment?
2 sentences, I will
Okay.
say. As I'm coming from the automotive sector, Peter Drucker said that automotive is the mother of all industries. But honestly, today it's a big problem because everything is defined. So, for example, one of our startups proposed a good solution for major OEMs to decrease $100 in the manufacturing cost of each car, which is a huge amount of money for the sector. But they are not buying it because they said there is this process stuff. They are not free. If you go to Tesla, if you go to the Chinese ones, they are buying it because they have this surprisingly freedom, because they are thinking as a startup, not a legacy business of 100 years. That's the main difference.
Yeah, I think to try to summarize, because you hear a lot that the culture has to be supportive. You have to free them up to be there, but you have to have systems in place that it's controlling it some way. And then you have to make sure that that fear. So I worked with a bank, and we started a system, and you could suggest all kinds of ideas. And so they thought, hey, that's free, you can do it. But no one looked at them. So what it turned out to be is saying senior management doesn't want innovation because they're not doing anything with our ideas. So when you try to pull together this freedom, make sure that you're looking at the other side as well, as what happens if that doesn't work out, right? And that's the same with almost any innovation in my, I can do, the O is for opposite. I try to get all the innovation and say, think about your plan the best you can, but what if the opposite happens? And it's just a mindset that gets you a little bit more structured. But the fear, the culture, and the systems are very, very important. As I'm looking at the time, I'd like to go in one specifically to Moldova to try to find out, Moldova is a small country. What can Moldova do, since you are here, that can set itself up in the global world to say, hey, we're going to produce something. We're innovative, and the world looks at you as, hey, we're just as innovative, maybe not as Dubai, but Estonia is also a small country that had innovation. What are some of the stories that can come out of Moldova using creativity, using processes, using your all's experience in manufacturing, others, of getting the audience in terms of we can make a change if we do these certain things? Okay, let's start with you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. So,
Or you. Okay. No, go ahead, Lila.
So I think Moldova really has a big chance to be one of the countries like Estonia and um, uh, like Turkey to innovate with also AI because here we have many resources. For example, developers were like working force. It's not so expensive, so you can have quality workers or employee team members that you can have the results in short time. And also it's a small country, so you can test and build and ship fast and be exposed to the country, so you can test your idea and validate it more faster. And also, we have an advantage because the lack of resources forces you to innovate faster. So because we don't have other resources beside the people, I think here, we are forced to work harder to prove that our country can build, can ship, can innovate at a global level. And I think we have proved this with our startup because in 9 months we have gotten to 10K MRR, 2 startups, a very small team, and the hard work, of course, and one more time, the team and the culture is really, really very important because honestly, like we are 2 founders and the rest are employees, so they don't have shares, they don't have nothing, but they really work sometimes until 10 o'clock with us, and they are like co-founders.
I want to address that later when we have time, when you're talking about how much work you do versus your productivity, because that's very important, I think. Olga, do you want to jump on that?
Yeah, we just had a workshop exactly, you know, what to do, how to overcome such a challenges, and really to place Moldova as an innovative country and innovative, of course, companies of Moldova in a global marketplace. But yeah, I mean, my takeaway and my, of course, inspiration of it, yes, of course, to be open-minded what is happening in a macro level in the world, you know. So not to be only, you know, narrow focused on one scenario, but to have several scenarios of your development, because right now it's so fast development that it's really, you know, this kind of, it could be like a proverb, you should be really, really fast. And sometimes not perfect, but really, really fast. That's why, again, you should consider different scenarios, and it definitely shouldn't be only one pill. You know what to do right now, and but again, not to forget. So it shouldn't be measured like amount of startups, amount of ideas or whatever, but really amount of valuable impact or GDP at the end for Moldova, let's say it like this.
Exactly. Okay, so I'd like to open it up with the time we have to a couple questions from the audience. You're here, you came to hear something, and there's probably something on your mind. So you have some experts up here that can answer for you. So who has the first question? Do they have to go through the QR, or is there a microphone that they can use? There you go, up front. The man in blue.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Christian. I would like to start from the title of this session and ask you, so it's about adapting to innovation. So I was thinking, should Moldova focus on adapting to innovation, adopting innovation, or creating innovation?
All of them probably will be the answer, because there are innovations which we are adapting them to our culture and to behavior of our customers. Let's say taking insurance. It's something existing in the world that you can not only buy insurance, but you can obtain recovery through application. Of course, in this case, we are adapting. We are bringing innovation inside the country, we are adapting it to our existing products in the market, and we bring it inside. There are innovations which we need to adopt because they do not exist somewhere, and we just thought about them, and we try to bring them inside our application. For example, now we understood that in the world there is a big hype for personalized experience for targeting our customers. We do not have some experience in the world how this is done. And we thought of our way. We brought some stories in our application, create a separated page, put an AI to calculate these offers, put the people to screen these offers, understand how to trigger which customer in which channel communicates with us. And we brought it and put it in our application. But in each case, you should have a team which is open to understand where to adopt, where to adapt, where to innovate definitely, if it's possible, because it's difficult to invent sometimes. Sometimes, anyway, it's not Apple Pay or Google Pay that you invented from the scratch. But I think you should have teams open for everything anytime. And, with courage and discipline, because it's not only necessary to be courageous, you have to be disciplined and to know the limit of your competence.
Okay, we have just a couple more minutes. Omar, finish?
Okay, maybe I will add one example about this, because adopting, adapting, or creating, you can do all in the same time if needed. My first trip to Western Europe was in 1998 in France. And when I saw their banking system and the credit card usage and stuff, it was so primitive comparing what we are doing in Turkey. Because they passed to those systems before us. And we have this credit card system and everything in the 80s. And then we were that advanced comparing to them. I was in shock. But then we were that advanced at that time, adapting this technology to us better than them. Then we focused this technology. Now, Turkish banking systems stay quite back for the AI usage comparing to their Western competitors. So now they will take it back from them as guests. So it's a normal procedure in life. But just don't focus only one thing, to try to get all three in the same time if possible.
And as we wrap up, I mean, that's a key point. When you build a system, you can define that system. You can define all three of them. So this comes into management, leadership, intent, what they want, where they're trying to go, and you build it. And then you give the human resource, the biggest resource that you can have, that freedom to operate within that confine to produce value. And the value, as we heard, a lot of times it's the customer, because eventually the business is there to do one thing, typically, produce something or deliver something for somebody that gives them value, and then you get value in return, and you use that money to cycle through. So a lot of good things of what we need to optimize: people, processes, technology, and a foresight to why are you doing it in the first place. And this is where I think that a lot of times in innovation, people forget, why are we doing it? Okay. So I would like to thank everybody. We're wrapping up. Give a round of applause to our esteemed guests here. And I wish you a very good the rest of the summit.